The main thing is probably getting tracks finished.
Like I said before, with a lot of different artists on this record, are there some memories that you really cherish from the whole recording process, or maybe learned things from those artists that you thought, hey, that's cool that I know that now?
Can you remember? Well, working with Dev, Lightspeed Champion, one thing definitely when he was in the studio, I remember when he was doing some rapping, he really was into Lil Wayne. So that was one thing we tried, and he did some really filthy rapping, and that was really good fun. And he's got a really good sense of humour, and that was funny.
Okay. Do you have some special memories about the whole recording?
Well, recording Majesty, that was an experience. They're really strong women who you don't mess around with, so it was fun and a bit nerve-wracking to begin with. But we ended up doing a track for their album, and then they did Twerk, and so I mean they were real people, wild, whiskey drinking or Courvoisier drinking, skunk smoking, and and you let them do that. You put them in front of the microphone, and they do what they do. So it's probably not that easy to direct, really. They're a force that you just you sort of just incorporate into what you're doing.
We had an engineer there on that day, and he said he'd never seen a session like it. Because, Jewel, who's got the loudest voice, she was there with her top off, like growling and screaming, and he was just looking into the vocal booth going, oh my God, what's going on? But, I mean, that's great, and that's why they've got so much energy, and they're so exciting.
I mean, there was quite, I did a day recording drums with the drummer from Anvil, you know, the heavy metal band. There's a film come out about them recently. They're sort of heavy metal band that never really made it, and it's quite a sort of sweet sort of documentary that's come out about them. But we wanted some drums for a track that didn't materialize. We didn't finish it in the end, didn't make up the album. But that was really nice meeting them. They're Canadian, and they're like metalers, proper heavy metal guys from the early 80s who've just been living the dream, and they're really funny and sweet, and that was a really nice day. Yeah. So and their producer was really cool, and he told me loads of sort of stories about being on the road in the 80s, and being in the heavy metal world in the 80s, being a producer, and all the stuff that went on, and touring with Aerosmith, and just loads of anecdotes, and they were just proper rock and roll people. So that was a nice day. Yeah. But the recording didn't. I mean, you know, there were recordings we made, there were songs we did. There was a song called Life's Not Over that was, we thought that was going to be one of the main tracks on the album, and we worked a lot with lots of different versions of it, and you know, things like that. You spend a lot of time on something, and at the end you have to let it go. You have to say this, that, you know, if we keep on banging our head against this wall, we're going to bleed. So that's, with this album there was quite a few things where we worked on, and you have to just go, okay, look, this is not getting where we want it to get. Put it to one side and focus on these things. So, I mean, it probably would have been useful to have maybe another producer come in and someone just to say to us, you know, leave that, do that, just do that, finish that. Because for us, there were so many possibilities. Yeah. So,
The main thing is probably getting tracks finished. That's the discipline, which is really hard to do. Which is, I think probably for a lot of creative people, it's great to go blah, blah, you could go wow, 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 wow. And then you can make a bit of a mess. But then you need to kind of clean it up and make it presentable for people so they can understand what the ideas are. And that's the kind of craft side of it, I suppose, which is us for hours and hours moving bits of audio around and kind of with scissors chopping things, and because we do the engineering, the producing, the composing, all of it. So for a lot of people, different people do all the different parts, which makes it easier because also you get other people's perspectives on it, and they'll say that bit's a bit rubbish, which with us it might take us 3 months to get to the point of like that bit is rubbish.
Last question. Making albums is the fifth now. Is it getting easier or is it getting more difficult?
Well,
I don't think it's ever been easy.
No.
But I think it helps. It helps when you have a kind of a rough guideline of where you're heading, what you're trying to align yourself with somehow, and it seems that we're getting more free and more away from things, so you don't quite know. Yeah, so we did the Soundscape, which was going to be the second half of the double album, and that's going to be released now as a separate CD a month or two after Scars comes out. So that was us just being completely free, really, and just doing music that's not for radio or clubs or anything. It's just, stuff for your mind. And
it's a bit more chilled out than the main album stuff.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of tracks off that project that have kind of ended up on the main album as well. So we've got an extra half hour of music that will come after the album. So just more stuff that we think is good and we want to put out there. But you won't hear any of it on our dance floor.